Here are today's headlines. State prosecutors are ready to face an investigation over the dismissal of charges against drug lords Peter Lim and others. The Philippines seeks maximum protection for overseas workers as it continues talks with Kuwait. Transport Group Piston prepares a new transport strike against jeepney modernization on Monday. And the Philippine Navy retires the BRP Raja Humabon after nearly 40 years in service. Good day, I'm William Theo.
And I'm Pia Roses Morato. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom.
State prosecutors defended their decision to dismiss the complaint against suspected drug lords Peter Lim, Kerwin Espinosa, and their cohorts.
They insist that they cannot prosecute the respondents without enough evidence. Here's our report.
Prosecutors maintain that they cannot pursue a case solely on the testimony of one witness. Assistant State Prosecutor Michael John Humarang said this is in response to Justice Secretary Aguirre's order to re-investigate the case. Humarang claims that the CIDG did not present sufficient evidence against the respondents and instead relied on the testimony of its sole witness. The prosecution cannot decide against a person only because of public clamor, and the CIDG did not offer the testimony of Espinosa, where he admitted his involvement in illegal drugs in the Senate. The former prosecutor pointed out that there were inconsistencies by witness Marcelo Adorco, who was also involved. The prosecutors indicated that the resolution, which was dated December 20, was officially released only on January 18 with the Prosecutor General's approval and signature. Former Prosecutor Reyes said that they will send an explanation to President Duterte to enlighten him on the matter. He, however, stood firm on his stand to dismiss the complaint against Lim and his co-respondents due to the weakness of the case. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Abs Abando.
The PNP has intensified its monitoring in Mindanao following reports that 10 Indonesian terrorists have entered the country. PNP spokesman Chief Superintendent John Bulalakaw says the intelligence community will be on guard as it verifies their presence in the country. The Indonesian terrorists are reportedly training Islamic State recruits in Sultan Kudarat and Sarangani. Authorities have arrested a suspected terrorist named Mushala Somina Rasim, also known as Abu Omar, on March 10 in Sultan Kudarat. Bulalakaw, meanwhile, says the PNP, Maritime, Navy, and Coast Guard will monitor and protect the country's shoreline and borders to prevent the entry of terrorists from nearby countries.
Agbiag Representative Michelle Antonio filed a bill that will grant a mental health wellness break to all employees and students. House Bill 7400 seeks to institutionalize mental health wellness breaks of 3 days for both employees and students. The bill entitles employees to full compensation for those breaks, while students are excused from regular class days. The bill also mandates all public and private schools to integrate mental health awareness in their curriculum. It also requires employers to offer mental health wellness activities that employees can attend. Antonio stressed the need for the government to address the mental health problem, considering that mental illness ranks third in the most common disabilities in the country. Antonio said the 3-day mental health wellness break could give employees and students the opportunity to positively evaluate their mental well-being.
China is looking to establish its first industrial park in the country within the 2 years. Chinese ambassador to the Philippines, Xiao Jianhua, said that China aims the first industrial park here to be larger than its 8 industrial parks in Southeast Asia. He said China has industrial parks in other member states of ASEAN but has none in the Philippines. Last year, the Philippines and China signed an agreement to jointly put up industrial parks in the country. Zhao said by partnering with Philippine industries, more jobs would be created for Filipinos while increasing the production capacity of the country. Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez said China would be looking for local partners to develop its first industrial park here. Other countries could also locate within the Chinese industrial park. The trade chief said 5 locations are being considered for the establishment of the Chinese industrial parks, which include 3 locations in Luzon and 2 in Mindanao.
President Duterte led the destruction of at least 14 smuggled vehicles worth 27 million pesos at Port Irene in Cagayan. Among the vehicles destroyed were a 7 million peso Maserati Quattroporte, Porsche 911 GT3, Opel Manta, Renault R5, 8 units of Mercedes-Benz and 2 BMWs. Over 800 other vehicles and 8 high-end motorcycles will also be destroyed once its documents are reviewed and finalized. The president said he would never tolerate smuggling or other anomalies at free ports as he strives to free the government from corruption. Duterte said the destruction of the vehicles was a symbol of putting an end to a societal disease that eroded public trust.
Still to come, the Philippines seeks maximum protection of overseas workers as it continues talks with Kuwait. Transport Group Piston prepares a new transport strike against jeepney modernization on Monday. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Inuna natin na inasikaso ay ang sewage system. Kuha lang ng sample. Kuha lang kayo ng sample. Dali pa ano ninyo, ha? Yes, sir. Pangalawa, yung illegal structures na ginawa ng tao. Ito ngayon ang ating inaayos na kasi maraming mga nagtayo ng building katulad doon sa ating timberland at saka yun, dyan sa nasira yung ating Puka Beach. Ito rin naman ang ating biodiversity sa DNR ay medyo nasira, so ibabalik natin lahat yan. Sila mismo ang gumawa ng nag-demolish. Illegal settlers naman, doon na nakatira doon sa wetland natin Alam mo namang wetland, ng pag-aari ng DNR yan. So ito ngayon namang inasikaso natin. Inayagan din yung ganyan mangyari sa atin sa Boracay. Wala na. Takpan na Paano mo ilabas ang tubig dito ngayon? Pag nabaha ito, pag makulan sa pupunta tubig, yan na lang. So, consider na wetland yan. Dapat walang mga bahay dyan. So, kung yung ginagawa natin, pupunta tayo sa Panglao, El Nido, Palawan, Siargao, titingnan natin ang compliance nila sa Clean Water Act natin.
The government will pursue strong provisions in the proposed labor pact with Kuwait to ensure that maximum protection covers all Filipino workers. DFA Undersecretary Sara Ariola expects a positive conclusion despite a few differences with some terms on the proposed pact. Ariola reiterated that the Philippines is positive that agreement will be crafted not only with Kuwait but with other countries as well. The two sides held its first meeting on the negotiation for the pact in Manila, co-chaired by Labor Undersecretary Clara Arellano and Ambassador Ghanim Sagir Al-Ghanin of the Kuwait Foreign Ministry, aimed to reach a new labor agreement in between the two countries. Despite the existing deployment ban to Kuwait, Ariola said the two countries remain partners.
The Presidential Communications Operations Office, or PCOO, assures that it upholds freedom of speech and transparency, even as it works on stopping the spread of fake news and hate speech. During the Senate Committee on Public Information and Mass Media hearing on fake news headed by Senator Grace Poe, Communications Secretary Martin Andanar noted that hate speech, especially in the comment section in some government social media sites, may be seen as proof that the administration remains committed to free speech. He also stressed that the PCOO does not sponsor fake news and that it recently held a summit for information officers of the government, partly to address the information gap. Also present in the hearing were Philippine Information Agency Director General Harold Clavite, Philippine Broadcasting Service Director General Rizal Giovanni Aportadera Jr., PTV4 General Manager Dino Antonio Apolonio, and News and Information Bureau Director Virginia Arcilia Agtay. PCOO Assistant Secretary for Operations and Legislation Marie Banaag explained that contrary to public perception, the PCOO screens all the output of its attached agencies to ensure that it will stand scrutiny for truthfulness and fairness. Banaag, however, said that they are not inclined to define what is fake news. Senator Poe urged social media companies to consider putting up permanent offices in the Philippines and respond to government requests for representation given the large volume of active social media users in the country.
The LTFRB has activated a joint quick response team in preparation for Piston's transport strike on Monday. Interagency Council on Traffic spokesman Attorney Eileen Lisada said 20 buses will make the rounds in 6 staging areas around Metro Manila. Traffic enforcers and bus marshals will be deployed to ensure the safety of commuters. Meanwhile, the Philippine Army, Coast Guard, and several other government agencies will offer free rides. Piston is holding the transport strike to protest the government's jeepney modernization program. Areas expected to be affected by the strike are Cubao and Novaliches in Quezon City, and the Circle in Manila, Monumento in Caloocan, and Alabang, Muntinlupa. Protests are also expected in Cavite, Laguna, Rizal, and Batangas.
Local officials of Maguindanao turned over a batch of 20 loose firearms to the police and military. Mayor Ramdatu Angas led the formal turnover of the assorted high-powered firearms which were retrieved through the government's Balik Baril program. Major General Arnel de la Vega, 6th Infantry Division Commander, commended local officials and the military for the recovery of the undocumented firearms from the hands of unauthorized individuals. The campaign against loose firearms, which started on January 1st, has so far resulted in the recovery of 179 weapons of various calibers in Maguindanao.
The Department of Labor and Employment has opened over 1,400 summer jobs for students and out-of-school youths across the ARMM. DOLE ARMM Secretary Muslimin Galikan said the program is open to those living in barangays covered by the Health, Education, Livelihood, Peace and Governance, and Synergy or ARMM Helps program. Jaquilan said the drive is part of DOLE's special program for employment of students, a flagship program designed to provide income opportunities to out-of-school youths and students during summer or Christmas breaks. He said DOLE ARMM has earmarked 3.8 million pesos for the program. Registration for employment of applicants has begun and will end in the last week of March. Students will work for a period of 25 days. Applicants may learn more on the program through the DOLE ARMM's regional office at the ARMM compound in Cotabato City or Labor Department offices in their respective provinces. Up next, the Philippine Navy retires the BRP Raja Humabon after nearly 40 years in service. A joint government project reaches out to farmers in Mindanao's last frontiers. These and more when the PNA Newsroom returns.
Isinusulong ng Department of Agriculture ang Tienda Farmers and Fishers Outlet bilang tugon sa hangarin ni Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte na makapaghatid ng mura at sapat na pagkain sa bawat Pilipino. Sinisiguro din ng tienda na magkakaroon ng mas malaking kita ang ating mga magsasaka at mangingisda dahil direkta nilang naibebenta ang kanilang mga produkto sa ating mga mamimili at wala ng middleman.
Maganda po yung programa ni Sir kasi nakakatulong sa mahirap, walang pambili ng mga mahal. Ito, kahit pa paano, nakakakuha sila ng mas mura. Kaya kung pagpapatuloy ni Sir, mas malaking bagay sa aming mahirap.
Sana magtuloy-tuloy yung ganitong murang bigas para hindi na po kami mahirapan.
Kaya naman, ang mga mamimili ay nakasisiguro na mura at sariwa ang kanilang mga nabibili sa tienda.
Former President Noynoy Aquino maintains that he did not violate any law when he approved the implementation of the mass dengue vaccination program in April 2016. Aquino was summoned before the COMELEC along with other former and current officials of the Department of Health over the implementation of the Dengvaksha project. The Volunteers Against Crime and Corruption accused Aquino and other officials of implementing the program on April 4, 2016, which is within the 45-day election ban on government projects for the May 2016 elections. Aquino believes that the COMELEC will dismiss the complaint, which he described as based on imagination and wrong purpose. He also noted that the complaint filed by Dr. Francis Cruz and Dr. Clarito Cairo Jr. did not clearly state what law was violated and how it was violated. On the other hand, former Health Secretary Janet Garin said the Dengvaksha program was purely a health project and was not used for political purposes.
The Philippine Navy has formally retired its oldest warship, the BRP Raja Humamon, over 38 years of service during short ceremonies in Sangley Point, Cavite. The decommissioning is in line with Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzano's directive to retire the Navy's remaining World War II era warships and moving to the use of modern vessels. The BRP Raja Humamon, together with the 3 Jacinto-class patrol vessels, served as the backbone of the Navy and acted as its flagship. It also served as ceremonial ship welcoming arriving foreign warships in Manila Bay. BRP Raja Humamon started life as the U.S. Navy destroyer escort, the USS Atherton, in 1943. She was decommissioned in 1945 and transferred to Japan as JDS Hatsuhi in 1955 to be part of the newly organized Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force. She was transferred to the Philippines in 1976 and was sold as an excess defense article in 1978.
The Bacolod City Health Office reports a 33.3% decrease in dengue cases in the first 10 weeks this year. Dr. Grace Tan, head of the CHO Environment Sanitation Division, said they listed 144 cases with 1 death from January 1 to March 10 this year, compared to last year's 216 cases with 2 deaths. Tan said that based on the previous year's data, cases usually decrease during summer and increase towards the rainy season. She reiterated the need to practice a 4S to encounter dengue, as well as the importance of maintaining clean surroundings. Tan encouraged patients in Bacolod who were given the Dengvaksha vaccines by private physicians to inform the CHO about their cases for monitoring purposes. The City Epidemiology and Surveillance Unit has initially recorded 19 individuals, mostly students, who have been immunized with the anti-dengue vaccine.
Farmers in the so-called last frontiers in Mindanao are improving their livelihood thanks to the intervention of government agencies.
Thousands of households are seen to benefit from the project that aims to boost agriculture in the regions. Here is our report.
Gone were the days when the farmers in Buwalan, Lanao del Norte used to make banana ketchup, banana flour, and even banana chips manually. Now they produced almost 50 bottles of ketchup of assorted sizes from 1 kilo of fresh banana. Meanwhile, the income of Mandaya farmers of Caragan Valley, who produced coffee, peanuts, and abaca, has improved with the construction of farm-to-market roads. Caragan Valley is one of the last frontiers in Mindanao benefiting from the MinSaad project. MinSaad is a 4.4 billion peso project of the government through the Department of Agrarian Reform and the Japan International Cooperation Agency. The project covers 12 settlement areas in Regions 9, 11, and 12 in Mindanao. MinSaad aims to increase agricultural productivity, product value, and income of agrarian reform beneficiaries and other small-scale farmers. Among the interventions were post-harvest facilities, water system, farm-to-market road, and technical support for farmers. The projects have benefited about 110,000 households. Unfortunately, the MinSaad project is winding up in July next year. But the DAR MinSaad project team assured to strengthen institutional development so that farmers will continue to receive support from the local government units. DAR will also be requesting to extend the MinSaad project for another year. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Chris Mundo.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Will, it seems like there's a lot of focus right now on mental health, especially in the aspect of education.
And we see a lot of occurrences of these kids actually getting depressed, being bullied, and resort to suicide as a solution, right? At least so they think.
And of course, not to mention things that happen as well in the workplace, right?
Yes, so it's important to have a good support group, and I think sometimes when we seek professional help, there should not be a stigma anymore, because it's just like seeing a doctor. If you are sick, you really need to see a professional.
And that's why we look forward to the advocates of mental health, because really, we should pay attention.
Okay.
Okay, Will, let's take another look at today's headlines. State prosecutors are ready to face an investigation over the dismissal of charges against drug lords Peter Lim and others. The Philippines seeks maximum protection of overseas workers as it continues talks with Kuwait. Transport Group Piston prepares a new transport strike against jeepney modernization on Monday. And the Philippine Navy retires the BRP Raja Humaban over nearly 40 years in service.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter.
For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And that's your daily dose of the hottest news
and the latest information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm William Theo.
And I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Good day.